Hey guys, Abner Miranda here. Today I want to talk with you about something that is near and dear to my heart, and it is training. Specifically about the psychology, if you will, of training. Don't worry, I'm not going to go off the deep end here. I actually made some notes. I've been making notes in my phone for quite some time of things that I want to cover for you guys, and I thought it was rather comical that as I was moving things around, I think it's 3 different notes stacked up together. Talk about how nervous you were the first time you went out to training and how you were afraid you're going to look like a fool. That's the first one. The second note that I thought was rather funny that ended up right beside this one was convincing yourself that the disaster that just occurred in training wasn't your fault. Been there. Convincing yourself that you are better and more skilled than you actually are. And the third note that I thought was funny that ended up right beside this one was the reason I'm so good at this is because I watch the same lesson 15 to 20 times over while editing videos. You guys know I go to classes and I edit the videos. And I go on further to say I will watch the same mistake or success repeatedly, or I will watch a proper technique many times over. When I go to training and I videotape that camera, this camera, and sometimes even another camera, and I will videotape myself or somebody else running a drill. And I'll get home and sometimes I will end up spending 2 to 3 times the amount of time that it took to videotape the class to actually edit the class. Edit the class video. And so I end up spending just multiple times watching myself or somebody else running a drill, and I go, okay, you know, that foot should have planted and then the body should have come and stabilized. Or if you're running forward, I should have stuck it and allowed momentum to bring me up. And just all these little steps or missteps that I know that I should have caught in training and I didn't, but I catch them after the fact. Where all of this is going is this. I know that based on some of the things that people have been asking me by email and some of the comments that I get on social media, tells me that people are afraid of coming out to training and looking like a fool. Guys, there's nothing wrong with that. Human nature. Newsflash, you're human. No one wants to look like a fool, but guess what? I am not going to make you look like a fool. As an instructor, it is incumbent upon me to treat you with respect and dignity so that you learn. Look, there are some instructors who like to scream at their students, and there are some students who like to be screamed at. I've been to those training schools, and I basically go, okay, well, I'm here, so I might as well make the best of it. But I watch people completely what I call vapor lock. I mean, I've watched people totally vapor lock, and one dude recently, we finished with a drill where we ended up very close to the target. And so, you know, you finish firing, you check around you, you know, you do your reload, and I remember looking over my shoulder and realizing that the student had begun walking forward with us and for some weird reason had just mentally locked up and was now walking in reverse, and he was essentially trying to deal like this, and he was trying to deal with whatever the issue was with his gun. And that dude was making me really, really nervous. The reason I'm telling you all of this is that if you come to training and the instructor doesn't treat you with respect, screams, curses, yells, fusses, you're not learning. If you come to training and you have an instructor who has been more of a student than an instructor, guys, I hide no. There's nothing of what I'm doing as Tier 1 citizen that I'm trying, how can I put this? There's nothing that I'm doing as Tier 1 citizen to try to hide the fact that I recently started offering training. I'm approaching Tier 1 citizen training from the standpoint of a student, from you guys. I've been more of a student than I have an instructor. Now, I've held my certification as a 2010, I think. I've had my certification as an instructor since about 2010. But in reality, it doesn't mean that much to me because I have approached I've trained at so many different places over the years, and I've picked up so much more than I ever really got in instructor training that it's just... I've trained with people who are on the ragged edge. I've trained with people who are on the leading edge. I've trained with people who are screamers, and I've trained with people who are watchers. Dave Spalding is a watcher. Ken Hackathorn is a watcher. Larry Vickers is a watcher. I think it's interesting that those three men, and Jeff Gonzalez, I think, is the fourth, have started Firearms Trainers Association. That is the FTA is an association for firearms trainers who are really serious about training. And I've trained with 3 out of 4 founders of that organization, and those 3 men are watchers. They don't, if they raise their voice and let one fly, it's because you have earned it by doing something extremely dangerous and boneheaded. But for the most part, they are giving solid content to you that is going to be absorbed in a manner that you can actually, they're giving solid content to you in a manner that you can absorb it and take it in. And all of those experiences that I've had with those people and many others are things that I'm bringing to Tier 1 Citizen. The reason that I made that notation in my phone, really the most important part of all of this is you're going to feel like somehow you're going to come out here and other people are going to be squared away. I got news for you. Even the people who look like they're squared away aren't squared away. The guys and gals who show up with the vehicle and the tattoos and the equipment and the matching clothing and the attitude suck the majority of the time. They suck. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, guys. There's no time to sugarcoat this stuff anymore. They stink. I mean, they're terrible at it. I've trained with people who have gone out of their way to try to make me look like a buffoon and ultimately got caught on that camera right there screwing things up. Now, this is a sterile environment, okay? I get that. I lay that at your feet. Take it for what it is. This is a sterile environment. But if you look at stress inoculation training, if you look at a lot of the work that people like Colonel Grossman have done, the one thing that has been found by science is that the mind has difficulty differentiating between combat inoculation training stress and combat stress. Now, having been a police officer, having been in situations where I knew my life was in jeopardy, I knew that the other guy had a gun, and I knew he had already fired at someone. I can actually tell you that because of my training, everything I did that night was very automatic. And I learned that in this environment. So I don't really know how to give this to you in a manner that can be understood. Having talked with people who have been in combat and who have killed people, and the things that they say, the very blunt things that are shared in a manner that I go, okay, this guy's speaking truth, because all the bravado has been shaved off what he's saying. The things that have been said about we were in Iraq, and I want to make sure this clear so someone doesn't try to use a snippet of video. When I say we, not me, the person I was talking to, he said we were in Iraq, and he says we were simply going somewhere. We weren't on patrol. We were just on foot going somewhere as a group of guys. And he says a dude stepped off the curb across the street and opened up on us with an AK that came out of we don't know where. And he says all we did was turn and start shooting with our pistols. And he says I wasn't pulling the trigger. I wasn't squeezing the trigger. I was yanking that trigger as fast as I could. I was drowning in my own CO2 in the bloodstream. And we spilled that guy out in the street and ran for cover, reloaded, assessed what we needed to do, and moved. It's the same thing you do in this environment. If you're being taught by a person who understands the motions, then like take this drill right here. This is the drill that I got from Dave Spalding. And I think I've heard him say that he actually got this from Ken Hackathorn. Instructors either invent things or they adopt things from other instructors and they pay it forward to their posterity. That's really all being an instructor is about. There are people in this industry who are very territorial and act like they've somehow invented tinfoil. They haven't. Guys, I haven't invented this stuff. I've taken this from people who've been doing this longer than I've been alive. Okay, well, maybe not that long. well, maybe in Ken Hackathorn's case, and Ken wouldn't take any offense with what I'm saying, Ken's a great guy. This stuff right here is how you learn how to be a gunfighter. And I hate that term, but that's the only term I can come up with. Moving, stopping, stabilizing, deciding, shooting, or deciding and moving again is how you survive a gunfight. Moving, stopping, stabilizing, shooting. Moving, stopping, stabilizing, deciding, moving. Moving, stopping, stabilizing, shooting. That's what this drill is about, which is why you will always see me when I'm out here just kind of working on my own. This is the drill that 98%, maybe even more than that I go to, because it's 5 yards apart and it's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Is this a one-to-one of the real world? No. This is a drill for learning the footwork of stopping, stabilizing, deciding, and then taking off again. That's all this is about. This video I know is a bit of a rambling video, but I'm finding, like I said, with the things that are being asked of me and said to me, that I'm getting the sense that people are not understanding. You're not going to be abused when you come to training, at least not with Tier 1 Citizen. And I will tell you this, not with Tier 1 Citizen, not with Ken Hackathorn, not with Dave Spalding, not with Larry Vickers, not with Frank Proctor, definitely not at TDI. You're going to get solid instruction. I target this video mostly at people in the Chattanooga area. This is Birchwood, Tennessee, where I'm standing. Look it up on Google. This is not that far from Chattanooga. This is from my house in Ottawa to here is 29 minutes. 29 minutes. I'm offering training, and I've got price points on it that are low enough that I want people to come out, and I want people to keep coming out. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm working. That's why I'm doing these videos, to promote this, because I want people to train. You think, I'm going to be blunt here, you think you know what you're doing with a gun, you're deluding yourself. You don't know what you're doing with a gun. And the most, and you know what, and if you're the guy or girl who actually does know what you're doing with the gun, then ignore what I'm saying, because if you know, you know. If you think you might need instruction, you definitely do. Because having been in your position a decade ago, going to training, trembling inside, thinking, man, I'm a cop. I mean, I'm a cop. I'm supposed to know something. By the way, I was a magazine writer by that point. I was already writing magazines about this, writing articles in magazines about this stuff. And I went to training thinking, I need instruction, because I don't really know what I'm doing. I'd reached to the bottom of the well, and I had nothing else left. Went to training and realized just how much I didn't know, and learned and learned and learned and learned. And now 60 classes later, here I am, actually being able to say to you, I know what I know, and I even know some of what I don't know. And if you want to know what I mean by that, come out to training and I'll be glad to show you. As always, I thank you for watching. God bless you all. Get those guns out in practice. Have a good one.
Nice. Hit. High. You only get one.
Oh,
you
okay.
cheating dog.
No, I forgot you only get one.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Flip the head. Only one this time, cheater. Nice. Very nice. And over to the hydrants. And we're shooting the one in the corner. One and done. One and done. Standing, kneeling, prone, brace, whatever you need to do, but give me the hit. Just off the left shoulder, slightly high. Back to the wall. And
torso?
Side drop out on the torso. There's the hit, nice and clean. Check your world, check your world. Tack, mag, change, very nice. And when you're ready, back to the holster.